Good evening and good morning to everyone. And first of all, thank you for organizing this webinar on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Relations. We warmly welcome the participants to this informative webinar on logistics and supply chain, which is one of the core components of the national export strategy currently under implementation. This is the 13th of a series of informative webinars organized by the Economic Affairs Division and the EDB, which has been launched targeting Sri Lanka missions on 7 priority sectors based on increased demand. You may already know that we have held webinars on printing sector, ceramic and porcelain sector, boat and shipbuilding sector, coconut, Ayurveda and herbal products, electronic and electrical and ICT. The main objectives of the webinar today is to provide an opportunity for Sri Lankan industries and businesses to introduce their companies and products, as well as their expertise in these sectors. And for the officials of the Sri Lanka mission, they will also be able to share their experiences in promoting these sectors and also to identify their respective opportunities and challenges in the respective target countries where they are currently accredited or concurrently accredited. As you're aware that at this time, the trade fairs and exhibitions as well as promotional activities have been postponed or they are currently taking place virtually due to the COVID situation. And these webinars are proving highly valuable for the Sri Lankan exporters in these identified sectors to establish and maintain close contact with the Sri Lankan missions and to ensure that Sri Lankan exporters are in a better position to expand their exports in the traditional markets while also tapping into the new destinations. And also these webinars are expected to help with the preliminary step in identifying B2B meetings. As per the available statistics, the logistics sector has brought a revenue of US dollars 2.486 billion in 2018, and it has slightly decreased in 2019 to 2.339, but I think there is a lot of scope for expansion and in this sector. I take this opportunity to thank the Sri Lankan missions which are currently joining us today, that is from France, Germany, Italy, Norway, Sweden and South Africa, as well as Kenya, for your efforts in promoting this sector and in sharing details of the opportunities available for logistics and supply chain sector in your countries of accreditation and concurrent accreditation with the EDB. Without further ado, first of all, I have to also introduce the participants. We have today representatives of the Sri Lankan logistics and supply sector, Mr. Rohan Maskorala, Chairman of the EDB's Advisory Committee on Logistics, Mr. Romesh David, Chief Executive Officer of South Asia Gateway Terminals, Mr. Andre Fernando, Managing Director, MAC Holdings Private Limited, Mr. Dilshan Indicatier, DGM, Deputy Director, General Manager, Head of Sales and Business Development, Haley's Free Zone Limited, and also Mr. Pandula De Silva, Head of Sales and Marketing, Expo Freight Limited. And also I wish to thank Ms. Chitranjali Disanayaka, Director General of EDB, and her team in organizing today's interactive session. Now I will hand over the floor to Ms. Chitranjali to take forward this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashika. Good day to all of you. Let me, on behalf of the Sri Lanka Export Development Board, welcome you once again, all the participants, Acting High Commissioner South Africa, all the officials of the embassies, and the participants from the private sector. I would like to take a little bit of time to thank the Foreign Relations, Ministry of Foreign Relations for organizing these seminars thus and giving the support for EDB to organize such seminars and educate the embassy officials as well as connect with the international market. So the objective of this particular seminar, webinar is to make the officials of the Sri Lanka missions aware on the capabilities of the Sri Lankan logistics sector and how the missions could assist this industry to connect with the global market. As you know, Sri Lanka contributes about 15%, Sri Lanka exports contribute about 15% of GDP. However, export services sector, the contribution is not, although it's increasing, but we can do much more to contribute to the GDP. So having said that, with all the opportunities the Sri Lanka has, like the geographically well positioned at the east-west maritime route and proximity to many emerging markets, so this sector can actually grow steadily and contribute to the export earnings. Having said that, without going further to elaborate regarding the webinar, I would now like to hand over the floor to Mr. Rohan Maskwarala, the chairman of the Advisory Committee on Logistics, to continue the program, and wish that we will have all of us will have a very fruitful program this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director General Chiranjali Dissanayake. Thank you very much, Shashika and the team at Foreign Ministry to putting up this second session on logistics webinar, which we had one with the Far East. So let me do a little bit of a briefing of the session today. Good morning to all who are joining us from Europe and South Africa, and good afternoon to all the speakers from Colombo. We are on two different time zones now. We will have 4 speakers who are experts and senior people from the industry talking about business opportunities in Sri Lanka. First of all, it would be, after my brief introduction, it would be Mr. Romesh David, CEO of a South Asia Gateway Terminal of Port of Colombo, and followed by Mr. Andre Fernando, with the Managing Director of MAC Holdings Limited, logistics service provider in Sri Lanka. Then Mr. Dilshan Idiketia will join from Haley's Free Zone. He's heading sales, marketing at Haley's Free Zone. It's a new concept in Sri Lanka. And also Mr. Pandula De Silva from Expo Lanka Holding, another large conglomerate on logistics from Sri Lanka, which is also a collaboration with a Japanese giant of the world. So these 4 gentlemen will speak for 10 to 15 minutes on each of their subject: port shipping, air freight and logistics, and of course what is called the hub concept. I'll be your moderator for the session. So we have about a total of 90 minutes. By 4 o'clock Sri Lanka time, we intend to wrap up, and we hope to have about half an hour of Q&A as well. So without going further, let me give my small presentation, which I will make available to you in a minute. Can you see can somebody confirm the visibility of my screen?
Yes, Rohan.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yes.
So for the excellencies and officials joining from overseas mission, I think you may be familiar with this slide. This export strategy was funded by the European Union, supported by UNIDO. It was launched in August 2017, a process of consultations that took for nearly 18 months. And now we are in the implementation stage of these projects in different areas. And one of the outcomes was the logistics area coming into play. So if you look at this screen, you will see the concept and the whole background behind the national export strategy. National export strategy has 4 areas in terms of services, supporting 6 new focus areas, and also supporting the additional export areas through the services sector improvement. So you can see trade information promotion, national quality infrastructure, innovation and R&D, and of course, logistics as a key pillar to support the Sri Lanka's economic growth through exports. As you know, the exports as a percentage of GDP since 2000 has been on the decline, and we want to reverse this trend. And the good news is that although there has been a government change after 2017, the new government also has endorsed the NEST project to move forward. So we are in the process of discussing the new structure and things like that in Colombo. But at the same time, at the EDB, we are functioning and going ahead with the changes. So bottom line here is, I think I am not going to explain much about this because all the speakers will talk about. But you can see where Sri Lanka is in terms of geography, which everybody talks about. And you can see two major hubs sitting 4 hours, flying hours time between Sri Lanka and Dubai and Singapore, both having 4 hours flying time. And you can see the connectivity to South Indian subcontinent, specifically India, and connectivity to Africa, and then the Far East. What geographical advantage Sri Lanka possesses. So we have been talking about this for quite a bit of time as Sri Lankans, the opportunity to increase probably the percentage of contribution to GDP from about 2.5% to going towards 7% contribution from the logistic services industry. And all the governments, although they have changed, have significantly identified the need for us to enhance our logistics capability and increase support for the export industry as well as the services sector. So this is what the topic is about. What our speakers will tell you about a brief of each sector, and also what we are looking at from our point of view, how you can help us sitting overseas there to connect us with relevant industries, businesses and chambers to look at Sri Lanka as an alternative to Fujairah and or Jebel Ali and Singapore, and make that more business can be attracted to Sri Lanka, where Sri Lanka will benefit as well as investors and service users will benefit, because we are definitely a hidden gem in the Indian Ocean, and it's time for us to polish it and cut it and show the world. So that is our mission. So with that, I would like to hand over the proceedings to Mr. Romesh David, who will take you upon the presentation on the port and the shipping industry. Over to you, Romesh.
Thank you, Rohan. I will, and good afternoon or good morning to everyone on the call. I will try and spend the next 10 minutes giving you a very quick overview of where Sri Lanka's positioning is in a maritime sense in terms of our port. Where a quick overview of what exactly we offer in the Port of Colombo, and some thoughts on what I think missions out there could do by way of promoting Sri Lanka in terms of a logistics and a port hub. So this first slide gives a little effect to what Rohan showed earlier in terms of the air connectivity. What you're seeing here is really a heat map of the density of vessel traffic, of ship traffic around the world. And you'll see it's fairly evenly spread with some concentrations in Asia here, and obviously in and around the European Union and both coasts of the United States. If you take a slightly closer look at it, this is what a deeper dive into Southeast Asia and the Indian Ocean area looks like. And I think we don't need, it's fairly apparent that Sri Lanka sitting here sits sort of slap bang on the largest trade route. If you look at the east-west trade route, which is trading from China through the Straits of Malacca into Europe is the largest maritime and trade lane in the world today. It has the highest density of ships. It has the highest density of cargo. The greatest amount of cargo moves from east to west along this trade route. So from the coast of China, through the Malacca Straits, across the Indian Ocean, into the Gulf of Aden, through Suez, and into the Mediterranean here. And it doesn't take a genius to realize that we are sitting slap bang on it. And essentially all the ports, the two major ports in Sri Lanka, both Colombo and Hambantota and Galle, have little or no deviation from Colombo. Just to give you an idea as to the volume this represents, we are an anticipated 600 plus ships pass by Sri Lanka every day in a 24-hour period. And of this, we have roughly 12 to 15 ships calling at all ports in Sri Lanka, including 90% of that is at the port of Colombo, and a majority of what that is in the port of Colombo is our container ships. So if you look at the 4,700 ships that call in Sri Lanka, roughly 70% of that total would be container shipping. So obviously container shipping is the largest part of our business here on this important trade lane. You'll also notice very quickly the density of shipping that connects this part of the world, the entire Bay of Bengal region, and the Gulf of the Arabian Gulf region into our part of the world. So it's not only the Far East Europe, but also the Gulf to the Far East, and the north-south trade from the Bay of Bengal to Africa all come past Sri Lanka. So it's not just that one single trade route. Moving on, this is manifested in the fact that we are we are the 22nd largest port by volume in the world. We did last year, in the first half of this year, we have done 3.2 million TEUs or 3.3 million TEUs. We are currently tracking about 5% below what we did for the same period last year. Last year we did we did about 7.3 million TEUs, I think, in total. So we are likely to end the year about 4 to 5% less than what we did last year. And this is quite remarkable in the sense of the type of drops we have seen as a result of COVID in other areas. And I'll explain a little more of that later. Just looking at it comparatively, we're also listed as the 12th best connected port in the world. So in terms of connectivity, this is published by the global consultancy Brewery. They chart the number of trade routes served and the number of main line services serving that port on each of those trade routes. So you look at Colombo, we are ranked number 12. We've got 61 mainline services serving all global trade routes. But interestingly, you can see here Port Klang in Malaysia and Singapore ranked, which are competing hubs, and they compete for the same business, ranking significantly above Sri Lanka. Moving on, just a quick snapshot of where we are as a country for ease of doing business. Again, compared, Sri Lanka is ranked 99th in the world, up 1 from last year. But our competing hubs, the hub ports we compete with in Singapore, Singapore is ranked number 2 in the world. Malaysia is ranked number 12. The UAE is ranked number 16, and Oman, which is also a big port that competes with us for transshipment business, is ranked 68. A quick overview on the port of Colombo itself. If for those, many of you may have seen this, but this is the old basin, that is the original harbor. And this is what is known as the new basin, or the new Colombo South Harbor with the new breakwater. This was completed by the government in 2010 or 11, and the first concession was awarded in 2012 to CICT. So in the old harbor, we have JCT, which is owned and operated by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority. who have essentially about 2,000 meters of quay in a slight dogleg like this, and a large 30-hectare yard. And they handle everything. They can handle ships that they have 15 meters of water depth here, and they can handle ships up to a 14.25 meter draft that are deep in the water. SAGT was first started in 1999 as the first public-private partnership with the government of Sri Lanka and John Keel's holdings in Sri Lanka, and at that time the P&O Group, which has now moved into the Maersk Group. So there are 4 partners in this project. One is John Keel's holdings, the other is the Maersk Group, the other is the government of Sri Lanka, and the third partner is Evergreen of Taiwan, the Evergreen Marine Group. In the South Harbour, this, as I said, was awarded in 2012 to China Merchants Group. The big difference between this part of the harbour and this part of the harbour is that here we have 18 meters of water. We have 17 meter, which can take ships up to 16.5 meters deep. In other words, the largest ships afloat in the world today can be handled here. And China Harbour have got, China Merchant have got 14 key cranes here. They're 1.2 kilometers or 1,200 meters of berth. And they handled almost 38% of the entire volume of the port. So the growth we have seen, I'll just move over to the next. And the fourth one is the much talked about ECT, for those of you who may have been following the local press. This is the East Container Terminal. A small part of it, 1/3 of it has been already built by the SLPA. And this is what currently needs to be developed as an absolute matter of urgency, because Colombo is full, as I will show you in the next slide. This is very quickly how container volumes have behaved in Colombo. If you go back to 1993, when we were a port with that just handled 1 million containers, 1 million TEUs. And a feature of this is every time we reached the capacity, which was and at that time about 1.8 million TEUs, the throughput flattened completely. And every time we added capacity, the throughput grew, the volumes grew significantly. So the business, because of transshipment is a hub and spoke business, it is led by capacity. Shipping lines will only bring cargo here and exchange cargo in a transshipment port if there is sufficient capacity. So you'll see we had a steep period of growth from 2002-03 when SAGT became fully operational up to 2010, other than for this glitch, which was because of the global financial crisis in 8-9. And then we had a plateau again until CICT came along in 2014. And then we have a very steep growth up to 2019. And whilst we are seeing, we will see this plateau again because we have virtually run out of capacity. We are operating at about 80% of our total capacity as a port. The slide at the bottom will show you really what has driven this growth. As you will see, it is transshipment in blue. It's the transshipment traffic, that is containers that are brought by the shipping lines by smaller vessels into Colombo and then moved onto bigger vessels for carriage on the main route, or the other way around, and for carriage into South Asia. Sri Lanka's growth domestically has been largely flat on the basis of basically having very marginal economic growth, 5-6% average over the last 20 years. So we've had container volumes also grow at that kind of rate at about 3 to 4%. Whereas compounded growth rates in transshipment has been closer to 9% year on year if you take a 20-year horizon. Moving on, a little bit of background on transshipment. As you will see here again, it's 82% of our cargo is transshipment cargo with only 18% domestic. And this transshipment cargo, for this transshipment cargo, we are largely dependent on India. You will see that of the cargo that comes in, 37% of the cargo that is coming in comes from India and is then destined on this side to these various locations here. Whereas, and many of that cargo that comes in from countries that are on the call today, like like in Europe, really all of this comes here, and this is not meant for Sri Lanka. This is cargo that goes out. Likewise, on the outbound cargo, again, we see India responsible for 40% of the cargo, total cargo coming in, and Bangladesh, again, a big 6%. And that cargo then goes out, is distributed. The cargo that comes in from India and Bangladesh on this side goes out to countries like the US and all over Europe. You have UK, Netherlands, Germany, Spain, all of them taking exports from Sri Lanka. So again, the story here is that we have a massive, our port is mainly dependent on this transshipment cargo for growth, and that provides great shipping opportunities to our importers and exporters as well, because it affords them the type of connectivity that a normal gateway port will otherwise not have. In terms of shipping lines, we see that if you take the top 15 lines in the world, shipping lines in the world by size, 14 of them have services to Sri Lanka and are represented here and operate ships here and have containers that come here. So Colombo is well served in terms of the biggest and the best lines in the world from a shipping perspective, from a container shipping perspective. To wrap up very quickly, some key takeaways. So just Colombo is already well established as a global shipping hub. So the shipping lines have established, the port and the shipping lines have established Colombo that full container shipping works well. Sri Lanka is also reasonably well established for as a location goal, that is, for embarking and disembarking sea marshals. Sea marshals are the armed guards who get on board ships or get off ships that are traversing in the sort of pirate infested areas of the east coast and west coast of Africa. So Sri Lanka is known as a staging point for those sea marshals. What we are not, however, is known for many of the other aspects of what a maritime hub is all about compared to places like Dubai and Singapore, which is we don't handle the cargo that is inside the containers. What we call multi-country consolidation, where there is less loose cargo that comes from other places and gets consolidated and shipped and changed around. We also don't handle a lot of sea air cargo, although there is great opportunity because we are so well connected with the region, where part of the journey of any cargo is done. I think Andre will cover this in detail. We also, because of the density of ship traffic that passes Sri Lanka, and ships require servicing and maintenance whilst on the sea, many of the hubs like Dubai and Singapore, again as examples, are major stores, locations for ship stores. And marine parts or ship spares is a huge logistics exercise by itself. And big hubs, usually like Rotterdam, like Houston, like Singapore, like Dubai. Sri Lanka has an opportunity to do that as well and has to attract these people here. So companies that pay out, bunkering is an obvious choice. We have now with Hambantota and the added capacity there, we have a large global oil major in the form of Sinopec, who's going to set up here. So that is going to give a big boost to bunkering, but otherwise volumes in Sri Lanka are very small and very expensive, mainly because we don't produce our own fuel oil. A lot of all the bunker fuel we sell is imported, so there's obviously a cost. Many of you would have heard about the recent New Diamond, the tanker that caught fire. Salvage and towage services are a big part of any maritime center, and we don't have any major salvage or towage companies that are either based out of here or operating from here. That again is a big opportunity to attract people. And crew change services. Again, COVID has really highlighted the fact that seafarers as a community are extremely vulnerable. We have almost over 300,000 sailors who have been stuck on board ships, some for over a year. And they simply can't get in and out because there are no ports that are deemed, that are happy to accept potentially infected crew to transit on their way home or bring in crew to get on board ships. Another area is maritime and legal insurance, maritime legal and insurance services, because major maritime centers are also centers for arbitration, adjudication, arresting ships, and that's an opportunity. We don't have much of that here in Sri Lanka. and again, a robust inland infrastructure. We have, our ability to have warehousing, the amount of modern transport fleets warehousing is quite limited. So from these, I think some of the big opportunities that missions, particularly in the European region that we are looking at now, the opportunities are that we really need to look for FDI in the logistics field in some of these areas. We don't have big multinationals that are present here who are present in every major hub, because these are the organizations that actually, their presence will bring the multinational companies that could be enticed to use Sri Lanka as a collection and redistribution hub. Neither do we have any large scale, like we have, BOI has free zones. We don't have logistics parks or large logistics zones. So there is an opportunity to invite logistics infrastructure players to come in and set up large logistics facilities in logistics zones. The BOI and the UDA have land. With our network of highways that is growing very fast, they don't necessarily need to sit around the port or the airport as was traditionally thought. But today, with the outer circular and the Southern Expressway and the soon to come Kandy Highway, within an hour from the port and airport, you can be 60, 70, 80 kilometers away, and there's plenty of land. So that's a great an opportunity. Ship's crew I talked about. There's the big crewing companies are set up traditionally in places like Hong Kong and Singapore, all of which have been closed. So there's a great opportunity. We have 2 airports, we have 2 ports, we have the ability to segregate people. We have a fantastic tourism infrastructure in the form of hotels. There is a great business here for the crewing companies. Many of these big crewing companies are all European. Maritime law firms, again, are mainly based out of the UK. There is great opportunity with the new port city and the new financial center regulations that will come into place to entice foreign firms to come and set up here and bring this kind of knowledge transfer. And on the land side, whilst there is the warehousing opportunity, there's also a great opportunity for cold chain operators, refrigerated transport and refrigerated storage, particularly once the tourism industry recovers on the back of tourism and retail. There's a big need for that. In a second sort of lesser point, but out of the top 5 shipping lines in the world, 4 of them are based in Europe. And I think our missions probably don't even call on these guys, but it's good to maintain a rapport with companies like Maersk, the largest in the world, based out of Denmark, MSC, the second largest in the world, based out of Geneva, CMA CGM, the 3rd largest line in the world, based out of Marseille in France, and Hapag-Lloyd, which is the 4th largest line in the world, the 5th largest line in the world, based out of Hamburg in Germany. So I think commercially it is important. There's not much a mission can do, but it would still be good to maintain links with the network people, with the commercial people in these lines to say, hey, what more can Sri Lanka do for you? So thank you very much. That was the quick overview that I had. I think I have managed to stay within my 15 minutes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Romesh, for that insightful presentation. I think you have given enough ideas to our missions to work on, and we'll share your information with them and we'll discuss at that stage. Let me straight away hand over the proceedings to Mr. Andre Fernando to talk about the air freight industry and the logistics industry.
Hi, how are you? Can you see the screen? Hi. Thanks, Rohan. And thanks, Ramesh, for... can you hear me?
Andre, I can hear you, but we can't see your screen. You have to share the screen.
Is it better?
Now, yes.
Yeah, now you can see.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. Sorry, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Rohan, and thanks, Ramesh, for a nice presentation. I think you showed exactly what Sri Lanka can basically provide in terms of the shipping And I'm here to talk about logistics and air freight opportunities in Sri Lanka. And so over to the presentation without wasting too much time. This graph basically shows the airlift capacity with non-stop flights that is available to Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia Pacific, and Indian subcontinent. So, which means that it obviously proves, like what Ramesh said earlier, we can easily be a hub airport for air freight logistics using Colombo as the hub. So we have two airports, as most of you know, that is down in Colombo, and then the other one deep down south in Mattala, which since of recently has basically come up for many charter flights for the crew changing operations that has basically happened during the COVID times. And as we go to the next page, this also shows all the ocean freight transits and the direct sailings that is available from Colombo to Europe, Middle East, Africa, South America, or the Americas, Asia Pacific, and then the Indian subcontinent. And it also shows with the anchor the ports that Sri Lanka has, and the ports and the airports combined together are able to offer you a fantastic logistics business, similar to what Singapore was previously in terms of cost efficiency, but similar to what Dubai is today at a very much lower cost for things like SEA, for crew changes, for supplies, for varied other services in logistics. So, like what Ramesh said, and what like Rohan also said, this is the golden egg that Sri Lanka basically has. We are next to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Maldives, which probably is one of the largest economies in the world, which I'll touch base in terms of size in the next slides. But if you look at the number of flights that Sri Lankan airlines have to India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, and Maldives. Maldives is not there in that picture, but then I think we have the largest connectivity from Colombo to all these key airports in our neighboring countries. So what all of you and the foreign missions abroad should be basically marketing Colombo to be used as a hub to basically provide value-added logistics in using our free trade agreements for value additions and free trade of cargo into Indian subcontinent, as well as for general storage, value add and distribute to the Indian subcontinent, which is one of the largest economies in the world. So we have 5 carriers which is flying from Colombo to India, and then we have Sri Lankan flying to Karachi, Maldives, and Bangladesh. So this is the slide I would really like to explain a lot about to all of you, so that I deviate from all the other speakers. So you would see global procurement happening around the world by ocean freight, by air freight, or it could be also using the trucking services to basically bring in the cargo to the seaport or to the airport, and then transfer by sea and air to the hub in Colombo, where we could basically hold it in hubs, like my friends would basically elaborate on the next presentations for long-term storage, value addition, pick and pack, tally, and then dispatch. So as I speak, our company is basically providing value-added services or hub services for a large European retailer who is manufacturing in China, Vietnam, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Korea, India, Pakistan, and we are representing all their cargo to come into the hub in Colombo, where we do quality control of all their goods. We do a DC bypass, and we basically cross-dock 20 footers into 40 footers and reduce the number of containers that go from Colombo to the final destinations versus what we receive from origin. Now, this may be really hard for somebody who maybe doesn't know the business to understand, but what it means is if each and every destination origin that manufactures is shipping straight to the destination in Germany, as an example, there would be more usage of a mixture of 20-foot and 40-foot containers. But by it being hub to Colombo, what we do is we eliminate 20-foot usage and we consolidate 220s into 40s and hub it out from here. So we currently do this at a third-party facility, but in saying that, we have also got a free port license, which we will commence our free port facility very soon. But this is the type of businesses that I think the foreign missions basically need to go and talk to the foreign companies. You need to approach companies like Mango, Zara, H&M, you name it, all the big brand names in Europe. That Sri Lanka is a location that can be used for hubbing cargo and offering the value-added services like quality control, QC, and other logistics operations. This will eliminate the large cost of them doing this while the cargo comes into destination, and also the time that is available. So that is so that shows the map of the Southern Expressway around Sri Lanka, coming all the way from Katunayaka over Karavalapitiya, Kadawata, which I think most of you Sri Lankans would know. But these are things that people does not know. As an example, when I sat at a meeting last year with the owner of CMA CGM in France, he did not know that there was a connectivity between the port of Colombo and the port of Hambantota. And I think we would require the support of our embassies to go and meet all these top shipping lines, top logistics companies, and then show them the connectivity that we have in terms of road, rail, and between the airports and the ports, which will enable these organizations to have better, concentration on the Sri Lankan markets. So we had sustainable supply chains logistics even during COVID times. We had a complete partial disruption to logistics and supply chain due to the sudden COVID pandemic. Leading manufacturers, traders, and other suppliers on all business verticals were challenged to rethink their business process. Sri Lanka, being located at a geographical point covering all shipping and air routes, trade lanes, survived, and we were able to basically offer better services than the other. As an example, for my client that I'm basically handling, we managed to basically offer them the services even during the COVID times, thanks to the some of the great efforts by my team, as well as the government entities who supported us in terms of BOI, customs, airport, and ports. We must not forget then that Asia is home for 70% of the world's population. which is 4.5 billion people, and 1.7 billion of that lives in the Indian subcontinent. So if we basically provide uninterrupted logistics operations, we will be able to promote Sri Lanka as a hub, and we should be really concentrating on promoting Sri Lanka as a air and sea operating hub, which includes sea, which means ocean freight into Colombo and air freight out of Colombo, or air freight into Colombo and then convert it into ocean freight from Colombo and then send it to India, or vice versa. Then we have central hub operations available with certain of our organizations. E-commerce is an area that we should seriously look at, especially concentrating on the Indian, Bangladeshi, and the Pakistani markets. Ship spares and bunker, supplies, including a maintenance of inventory, should be looked at. FMCG products to be basically stored, value-added, and resold into the Indian subcontinent. Perishables, industrial products, mail and printing services, which means there would be a lot of overseas companies who would want to basically print their items digitally by just sending it over a server into Colombo, and where we print it out and then mail it down to their Indian, Bangladeshi, and Pakistan customers. Crew manning, agency and ship owning, and sea marshal transfers are the other services that we can look at. So if you want to look at some of the customers that all the foreign missions should concentrate on selling, they should look at companies like Unilever, who may want to hub, Nestle, GSK, LG, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW and Toyota for probably maintaining a spare part logistics center for Sri Lanka. People like 3M, Johnson Controls. Johnson Control is already used in Sri Lanka. We used to handle them until very recently. And then even companies like Coca-Cola, JVC, Dell, Hitachi are other customers that we can really target to provide logistics services for the Indian subcontinent, to ensure that there is uninterrupted supply chain, both in the event if there is another COVID breakdown, or without a COVID breakdown or any other natural disaster. We will be able to provide the services that the final end user wants. Like what Ramesh said, there's a lot of vessels that pass the southern shores. And there's over 80,000 ships that basically pass. Some of them basically call Colombo, some of them don't. We need to look at services other than the containerized business. If we want to basically be a logistics hub, we need to serve those ships to with other services like hull cleaning. It could be crew changes, crew supplies, etc., etc. And we must not forget that India is a sleeping giant that is slowly waking up. And before they wake up, we need to basically run a little bit more faster than we did in the past. We have the infrastructure in place. We have the people in place. It's time to take the baton and run the relay, right? Transshipment still controls a lot of our ports volumes. But if we basically go into logistics, we might be able to increase our export volumes, which is rather small to a carrier. So what I mean is basically we need to look at the free trade agreements and our logistics facilities, our hub facilities, and look at some of this cargo which is manufactured in the Indian subcontinent coming into Colombo and originating out as Sri Lankan exports, similar to what Singapore is doing or what Dubai is doing, which will increase our export volumes. So this is something for EDB to look at. And with all that, I would like to end my speech and thank all of you for listening to me. And I hope you will be able to market our products to organizations which are listed and other multinationals, as well as the shipping lines and airline companies, to look at calling Colombo and obtaining services in Colombo. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre, for your presentation. Very informative and well structured. Thank you. Can I ask Dilshan Indicatier to join the next presentation with the hub concept, and who will be followed by Pandula on the same topic. So over to you, Dilshan.
I think Andre needs to stop sharing.
Yes, Rohan, hope now my screen is visible.
Yes, can do. Yes, can do.
Yes. Okay, I want to all of you joining from different parts of the world, and let me thank EDB and Foreign Ministry and NES for organizing this event. Before I begin, it's my duty to express our sincere thanks to all the participants who actually joined for the previous session on the same subject. We have seen tremendous support from almost all the commercial attaches who joined. The awareness sessions have been already planned, and it was really a fantastic support that we have seen from the foreign missions who has already joined this session 2 weeks ago, and we expect the same support, same level of support from the participants today as well. Commercial hub operations is about 6 years old in Sri Lanka, even though it's about few decades for Singapore and Dubai, our competitors, as the previous speakers highlighted. This concept came into effect in Sri Lanka, like all the previous speakers expressed, to make Sri Lanka a hub in the region through the Commercial Hub Regulations, which was introduced in 2013 through the Commercial Hub Act. Through that, there are 5 activities a hub operator can do. At the moment, there are about 6 hub operators in Sri Lanka. You will be listening to 2 operators today. Haley's Free Zone, where I represent, and Expo Lanka will join thereafter. There are 5 activities, like I mentioned earlier, a hub operator can do: entrepot trade, offshore business, providing front-end services, operations of the headquarters, and logistic services. But today I am going to highlight more on the logistic services, which we are very competitive and we are actively in action right now. And we need to remember that all those facts that we were listening so far can be put into action immediately when you are supporting the hub companies in Sri Lanka, because the infrastructure is already built, the regulation is in place, hub operators are there. Just a matter of bringing in cargo from the competition, from Dubai, from Singapore, which will bring foreign exchange to the country. Every single container which comes into a hub operator's location will generate foreign exchange for the country, starting from ports to customs to BOI, other than the income earned by the hub operator. So it's a immediate solution for the requirement of foreign exchange for the country. So there are 5 activities we can do with the commercial hub operations. But to make it simple, simply you can bring any product from anywhere in the world to these facilities through tax-free green channel. The customs will not check this cargo to enable faster clearance, faster process to support the global supply chains. You can bring any commodity, any product from anywhere in the world to these facilities through tax-free green channel, and you can do value additions like labeling, packaging, repacking, and even up to light assembly. But if you are willing to do manufacturing, if a hub operator is willing to do manufacturing, there are specific bonded areas designated in Mattala Industrial Zone and Hambantota Industrial Zone and the Mattala International Airport, but we are currently located in Katunayaka. Our facility is located in Katunayaka, so we are able to provide these logistic services up to light assembly. There are 6 operators already in the country. So at the beginning, I would like to invite you all to promote more and more hub operators to come and invest in Sri Lanka. That will, enable us to market to a wide audience in the world, rather than 2 or 3 of players are trying to do this, because there are hundreds of hub operators available in Singapore and Dubai. With that, I would like to give a small introduction to what we do. Haley's Free Zone Limited is one of the subsidiaries of Haley's Group. Advantage is our brand. Actually, Haley's, the logistic arm of Haley's Group is Advantage. We started the operation in 2014 with the expectation of making Sri Lanka a logistic hub in the region, and we are proud to announce that we have been appointed as the national contact point for the World Free Zone Organization as well. Another initiative that we are taking to take Sri Lanka to the global arena in terms of free zone operations, hub operations. Straight away going to identify the key advantages. Of course, by now we know how connected we are, the connectivity, the hub location, importance of the location. So these are the 4 key advantages that we have as a hub operator compared to the competition like Dubai and Singapore. Number 1 is the access to the Indian subcontinent, which was highlighted by previous speakers as well. So we are the best connected location. If you look at Colombo Port of Colombo is the best connected location in South Asia, where we can connect any city, any main port within few days, better than any other location in South Asia, like the previous speakers mentioned. So we have the access to a market of about 1.8 billion people in South Asia, and having the almost 4th largest economy in the world right next to our shores. And number 2 is the global connectivity, which is already highlighted. I'm not going to talk too much about that. The global connectivity we have. Number 3 is very important, the cost factor. I will show you the numbers in my next slide. The cost factor is one of the main concerns during this post-COVID era. Companies are looking forward to reduce their cost in supply chain. So we have a solution for the supply chains who are looking for a low cost but good service in terms of a hub operation. So the cost advantage is one of the key advantages that we have, and there is no red tape at all. So we have a very transparent process to operate a hub service. Any company in the world can work with us. They don't need to have any registration, any agent in Sri Lanka. They can straight away work with us. No registrations, no government authorities involved, because government authorities have already empowered us to deal with any foreign company in the world. So once they agree with the terms and conditions of the hub operator, they can start sending their goods immediately to the hub facilities. Again, the competitive advantage, I'm not going to talk about the connectivity, but I want your attention to this key point, what I'm going to mention. When you look at the connectivity to subcontinent, even though I know there are many European companies who are sourcing from South Asia and who are actually supplying to South Asia as well, in South Asia, and we are also working with many of them at the moment. The advantages for them, if they are connecting, if they are sourcing, or if they are supplying to South Asia, their cost you can see in comparison to Dubai and Singapore. For a 40-footer container, when Singapore is charging $1,300, when Dubai is charging $1,200, we can do the same job for less than $800. So that's the level of comparison. But I will be sharing that we, as a country, we have state-of-the-art facilities which can compete with Singaporean and Dubai free zones, but our cost is far more less than the competition, while we are giving the advantage of connectivity as well. So like I mentioned, this is the best connected location in South Asia, as well as the most cost-effective hub location. Other than that, the connectivity to Europe is another key area when we are talking about European retailers specifically. So as you can see on the slide, we can reach any port in Europe within 30 to 34 days maximum. But if you are going to reach from Singapore, you have to add 7 more days. So Singapore will take 7 more days in comparison to the time that we take to reach Europe. So sourcing from South Asia, connecting Europe, or supplying European products to South Asia is very easy. We can reduce the cost, we can reduce the lead time. So those are the 2 key advantages, the value propositions that we create as hub operators for the European retailers and other organizations who are dealing with South Asia. To make it more simple, I will take few examples of few of our customers who are already working with. There is a European retailer, one of the largest retailers in the Europe. They source products from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. These are mainly apparel related products, which goes to about 4,000 retail stores in Europe. So this supplier earlier they used to procure products directly from these 3 countries and bring it to Europe. They used to do the value addition like labeling, packing, quality audits. So all that was done in a distribution center in Europe. But when they approached us, they realized they can reduce their cost significantly by using us as a hub to do that same operation what they used to do in Europe, because we are very close to India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. So because of that, there's no additional cost to bring this cargo to our facility. So we are anyway in the route which goes towards Europe, because we are the transshipment hub for them. So because of that, they bring these products to our facility. We do the quality audit and we do the pick and pack operation according to the requirement of each and every supermarket in the Europe. So that's the operation that we are doing. The product which goes directly to the retail outlet in Europe is being packed and the quality is audited inside our facility in Colombo, which is located right next to the Katnayaka International Airport. So this, by doing this operation, they save thousands of millions of dollars per year. And at the same time, they improve their efficiency in the supply chain, because if there's any defect product, if something has to be returned, if there's any damaged product, it is pretty easy and it's very convenient to return it from Colombo to Bangladesh or India rather than coming it back all the way from the Europe. So because of that, so that is one of the examples I want to share to understand this simply. So we can target most of these retailers in Europe who are already working with South Asia, having their hubs in Singapore and Dubai. One of the key disadvantages for us is that we don't know, the awareness is not there. The world doesn't know that Sri Lanka has these facilities. That is one of the key disadvantages we have. So that is one of the key areas that I want to request your support as well, to spread this word amongst the world. So this is another example I want to quickly highlight on one of the largest tire manufacturers in the world, who are using our facility to consolidate the cargo coming from China and Vietnam and Thailand in our facility along with their local production, which goes to Europe. So this is another model that we can use our facilities to add value to the global supply chains. And quickly, I'm winding up with the facilities that we have. We have 15 acres of warehousing space. This is Venus facility, and we have another facility called Mercury, which has a simple storage. This is a rack warehouse, and we have meet the international standards as well. We are a CTPAT certified company, and we are as well, like I earlier mentioned, we are the national contact point. And finally, the support that we request from you is, please spread this word. So we will need your support for market access, to connect with the potential customers in Europe who are dealing with South Asia, who has some activity related to South Asia, compete using the facilities in Dubai and Singapore. With that, I will hand over the controls to Mr. Rohan Masakorala. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Dilshan. We have the next speaker, Pandula Silla from Expo Lanka. Pandula, I think I would request you to do it in about 7-8 minutes because we need to have some Q&A time. And also remember, we are also talking to 2 African nations, South Africa and also Kenya on the list. Thank you. Over to you, Pandula.
Thank you, Rohan. Good morning and good afternoon to you, wherever you may be joining us from. Since I don't have a lot of time, I will try to go directly into my presentation. If you consider today's world, supply chain managers across the globe grapple with a lot of issues or concerns on how they can get their product across to their customers, and how they are going to get it across, the whys and the hows and everything. So one thing this pandemic has also taught us is that there is a very significant challenge in moving your goods, and these supply chain challenges can be broadly split into 2. You can look at the supply chain complexities and the geographic complexities which come about as a result of where you may or your sourcing may be originated from. So how can companies, hub companies such as ourselves, support these customers in their endeavors and in their issues is something that I would like to cover, because my previous speakers have spoken a lot about the other aspects of the hub and everything. So some of the things, if you look at the recent things which happened, events with COVID and all that, what we found out that all our supply chains are very fragile and can change. That quick change can be the determining factor of your success, and the most resilient and agile supply chains are the ones that are coming out on top. And there are actually, believe it or not, companies who are thriving in this scenario of crisis. So from a foreign aspect, in terms of regional sourcing out of this region of Asia or selling into Asia, hub companies become a very key part of how customers can get their products and services across to their customers. So some of the complexities, if you look at, is how much of inventory should I hold? What kind of inventory should I hold? And if I'm going to hold this inventory, what are the challenges that are going to come for me from a regional perspective and things like that. So those are some of the key issues that discussed by supply chain managers, and hub companies can actually really help you with the right amount of technology and investment, can really help you gain a competitive advantage in that aspect. So I'm actually from Expo Lanka, or EFL for short. We are a Sri Lankan made multinational company. We are present in 21 countries, about 60 plus offices, with our latest offices being in Belgium and Denmark. And we are parented by Sagawa Holdings of Japan, second largest courier company in Japan. And we are also the first privately owned free port operator to be approved under the commercial hub under the then president, Honorable Mahinda Rajapaksa. We are basically, our site is right next to the airport. It's 240,000 square feet in terms of space, and we can store at any given time 18,000 CBM of cargo. That's roughly about 400 40-foot containers, just to give you an idea. We provide highly customized solutions to our customers in terms of supporting their requirements and needs. And something our business really thrives on is the level of visibility that we provide to our customers, the dashboards and things like that. We are a member of the World Free Trade Organization. And also some of the, I'll just give you very briefly some of the combinations which are possible. If you're a company, a buyer that is situated in Europe, if your sourcing region is in that area, in the Asian or Indian subcontinent, you can technically use Sri Lanka as a commercial hub where you can consolidate all your finished production into. The free port allows you to bring the cargo in without having to pay duty and tax. It's all green channel. The advantage of having something like this is, in today's world, demand changes very frequently and very rapidly. So as much as you need to get your goods on time, a lot of supply chain companies that directors or director level that we speak to also would like to delay their decision of shipping to the last minute in order to read what their markets are doing and how their products are selling in those markets. For example, if a product is selling in France faster than it is in Germany, right? Instead of the traditional route is you have your orders and you will ship X number of quantity into each of these regions and hope to God that you will sell it. But gone are those days where, you know, that kind of gambling is done with inventory and with value. So what they try to do is try to keep the cargo till the last minute so they can read the demand and then supply on time and the right quantity so that they maximize the sale without having to go you know, discount and things like that. So that's the kind of solution that a hub company can provide for you. My previous speakers spoke about a lot of these pick and pack and things like that. So I will not go into that, but I will try to give you a different angle to what a Freeport can do. Now, for example, EFL invests a lot of effort and time in terms of analytics and data. If you really look at it, data is the new oil in the world. How my consumers purchase, when they purchase, what they purchase, and most importantly, what will they purchase and when will they purchase. So these are all big issues that, you know, all the major brands in the world are trying to answer. And how can they get this information? This information is available if you mine the right amount of data. So for example, all our clients who work with us, we analyze all of their movements inbound, outbound by product quantity through various advanced analytic techniques, business intelligence tools, and of course, AI, which is just being introduced into our systems as we speak. So these kind of technological advancements are giving us the ability to provide our customers with more insights on how they should send their products. For example, we can analyze and predict in certain cases with regards to some of our customers, provided that they, you know, open their systems to us as well, when they will be required, what products will be maybe recalled based on the past offtakes. We also do something called digital listening. Basically, for example, especially in fashion, if for example, a celebrity poses something on the internet, maybe a dress or product, then as a fad, we know that there is a set of early adopters that will try to adopt that product. And the key in fashion is to how you are able to react and send it on time, so that you can actually achieve the highest sale within that short period. So those kind of technological advancements, the data has always been available. It's just that how companies can mine this data and how, you know, as a 3PL or a free zone company, we can provide the physical. The physical is a given. But how much analysis can you give your customer? How much of visibility can you give your customer is the key aspect in this scenario. So there are, for example, most of the apparel items that are going already have RFID tags on it. So can a provider use that information in order to maximize on that aspect? How much more visibility? What are the dashboards we can provide? For example, we have customers who have visibility into what is being shipped into their DC at this time. It's 3:45 p.m. in Colombo. How much of cargo they have in hand? What are the styles? And where they are destined to be, and what is the status of all the items that are on the water. So these are the kind of visibility and things like that that our customers are looking at. So provided that you find the correct, I'm happy to say that this kind of visibility is available through in Sri Lanka. That technology is already here, and that is an added advantage that missions, foreign dignitaries such as yourselves can promote to customers, because we have a lot of Europeans who come and when they see our systems, they go, wow, okay, this is available. So that knowledge, that availability of that knowledge needs to be passed on to the buyers on that side. So that is where we really need your support. I know I'm running short of time, so I will end my presentation at this time. But if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them during the Q&A session. Thank you. Over to you, Rohan.
Thank you very much, Pandula. Thank you to all the speakers who have done a great job. We have 10 minutes on our schedule left. I can straight away open the floor for the foreign missions to have any questions, or they can type in and on the chat, and we can take it on them also. Over to you, the foreign missions. Any questions? Unmute and please. I can't hear you. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, Sanjeeva. Yes, I can hear. Now
Yes, good morning and good afternoon to you all. Just give me 2 minutes to make a comment on this presentation and forward my request. So that I'm from Sanju Bandar from South Africa. So especially we have identified the South Africa as the gateway to the Southern African countries. So especially a lot of multinational companies have located their factories in South Africa to cater the other Southern African countries. So I think there are some great opportunities in South Africa, especially Cape Town and Durban ports. So I have read some articles regarding these logistic arrangements and the facilities available in Southern African ports. And especially my focus is the Durban area. Durban is somewhat is an area which is focused on some industrial products. So if our companies are focusing on especially the Durban port and the KwaZulu-Natal province, they are exporting their products to especially India, Korea, Japan, South Korea, and also some products are coming to Durban ports from those countries. So if we can make some arrangement to do some B2B meetings or webinar like this, we can facilitate from this mission. As well as, hello, can you?
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Yes. Other thing is that you know that a lot of hydrocarbon products like coal and LNG, those products are exporting from Southern African region. If our companies can facilitate these businesses, especially in I mean logistic terms, we can arrange B2B meetings on behalf of you. Thank you very much.
Yes, Sanjeev, I think that's one of our objectives. After this meeting, we are hoping that there should be B2B meetings between companies, as well as we will also organize with EDB so that we will targeting each country-wise webinar. So you can connect some of your clients over there and we can join as teams. So that is our next step. So we are first covering Far East, Europe and Africa, and now the next is Americas. Then we will start the next process of going one by one to each country which has shown interest through the foreign ministry to the EDB. That is the whole idea of this building this strategy, so that we as all Sri Lankans work together all around the world and promote our country and its strengths, which a lot of people don't know, which we have to understand, which is our own mistake and our own problem, which we have to sort it out of marketing and educating the rest of the world. So that is the whole idea, and I'm open for any other suggestions. Please send an email to EDB and we will then work from there onwards.
Yeah, thank you, great, Mr. Rohan. And from your side, please send me the exact requirement and the what sort of facilities you can give. Then I can talk with the industrial people and come back to you with more details. Then we can match. I mean, it will be a good approach to the business to business meeting.
Yeah, in addition to these gentlemen who are here, we will also connect with the rest of the business community who would like to work with you all. That is our mandate, so that we will give them your contact and tell to connect with you with the requirements. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from the overseas missions? I think our 4 speakers did a very good job and giving understanding of what we are. So I'm sure you will have questions later, but you can connect with them directly and the EDB. So if there are any questions, we have another 5 minutes or more, about 7 minutes more if there are any other questions to be answered at this stage. Europe is very important for Sri Lanka. Europe and even Africa is very important, is our emerging markets. So we look at your services very, very important as an important sector for us to develop business.
Rohan, can I just talk for a second?
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay, so all the European and the African missions, in a very small word, what we need from you is we need to make Sri Lanka similar to what Dubai or Singapore is. So we are a small country. We might not be able to basically probably manufacture like China or India. But what we need is to use our facilities, our port infrastructure, airport infrastructure, and our country's other infrastructure to hub via Colombo to increase our export and import volumes. So this can be by valuation, this can be by just normally passing through the port and the airport of Colombo. Very simple theory, right? And this will bring the country a lot of revenue. And this is the time we can support the government, we can support the Sri Lankans, we can support EDB by bringing in additional income when the times are tough. And Africa, Sanjeev Bandara, I think you can do a big job there because I know China is looking to hub via Colombo into Africa. So there's a lot of work that you can do together. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Any other questions from our foreign missions? If not, I would like to hand over the microphone to EDB and thank all the participants and my colleagues who came and allocated time and made presentations and did a wonderful presentation today. We are going to take this forward and we need the support of the Foreign Ministry and the EDB to continue this. And let me thank everybody again around the tables through a screen. Over to you, Wajira at EDB.
Yeah, thanks, Rohan. And let me thank the team from Economic Affairs Division of Ministry of Foreign Relations, especially with Shashika and her team, to arrange this webinar to facilitate us, and all the mission officials, especially from Europe and South Africa, Pretoria. And we yet to do another webinar for the rest of the missions in EU. And all the speakers from our industry. Special thanks to Mr. Romesh David, Mr. Andre Fernando, Mr. Dilshan Indikati, and Mr. Pandula De Silva, and Mr. Rohan Masakorala, our chairman of the advisory committee to the logistic sector of the EDB, and all the support and the advice given for development of this sector. And we especially request all the missions to support, create the business linkages to our industry. And we are there to connect you with our exporters and create any business linkages probably from next year onwards. And thanks for your time. Thanks for the very insightful presentations done by the industry. Hope all the mission officials will reach us through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to get more information. So have a good day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.